Lord Jesus, we thank you for being our good shepherd and leading us and guiding us in all the pathways that life presents before us. Thank you for this gift, and thank you for your light and your guidance. Amen. Amen. You may be seated. Okay, I got a lot of paraphernalia here. Hang on. Make sure they don't fall again. Okay. So, happy Mother's Day again. Little trivia. It was in 1908, Anna Jarvis created this Mother Day holiday. And it became so commercialized, she wanted to get rid of it. So she spent most of her life trying to get rid of what she had created. But if you've heard of Mothering Sunday in the UK, it's very different. It started back in the 1700s, I think, or 17th century. And it was in Lent, and that's when people went back to their mother church, the church of their childhood. So it didn't really have to do with mothers at all, just the mother church. So a little piece of trivia for everybody. So the past 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, Father Stewart, who's now in Hawaii, gave a great sermon about faith and belief being a journey, and evolving and not a static phase frame, which I thought was pretty powerful. And last week, I touched on the fact that God calls us each uniquely to be who we are, and we can have that choice to listen and respond and to follow. Okay, so here we are. We've accepted the call. We've decided, and some of us are already on this journey, but now what? How do we go? Where's our navigational tools? So if we're going for a walk in the woods, we have like a little, if we have never been down the East Fork, we can look and see the description, and we have a map to go with it. I mean, this is one navigational tool. For the younger generation, we have, hang on, just a second here. We can get it here. Oh, look, it's loading still. But we have a blue dot that says where we are at. And because my background is in aviation, I got a sectional. This is what you navigate in a plane with. Well, we used to. I'm sure that it's now on gadgets like this. But here's Big Bear. Little airport Big Bear. On the sectional. When we had a team of 3 steermen in the 1990s, the team used to say, we have a GPS. This was before GPSs were really affordable. And it was girl positioning service. It was me. And I always wanted to know exactly where I was every step of this little journey. And when I first started to learn how to fly, this is, I had to put something together like this for my instructor. And it had the wind speed, and it had the east-west variation, and it had all my little checkpoints, and what time I was going to get to those checkpoints, and if I, was going to have enough fuel to get there. And it was pretty complicated. And as I grew in navigation, this is about 30 nautical miles. And in a Stearman, which goes the speed of smell, that's about 30 minutes. So, if I'm going from, let's see, Chino to Big Bear, it's about a 30-minute flight. And if I'm this far along in my journey in 30 minutes, I know I've got a headwind, and I better look for some place to land and get fuel pretty fast. So that's how I learned to navigate. And I can tell you lots of stories about navigation. One time, and I'm just going to give you one, but one of the most difficult places that I navigated was off the southwest. It was from Page, which is on the west end of Lake Powell, to Cal Black, which is on the east end of Lake Powell. And there's no fuel stops in between. And I had to know that we were going to get to our fuel stop, and not run out of fuel, because you guys know Lake Powell, right? Yeah. Yeah. Red cliffs and water. There's a couple little landing places, but they have no fuel there. So I was sweating it out, okay? I mean, I'm watching every little curve, of the lake edge, and I look behind me, and the two other planes were flight of 3 flying around, and Ron and Jimmy they're flying back there, and they're going like this all around the lake. They're having a ball. So that's one of my little navigation stories. But this is how I learned to navigate, and really talking about technology. When this goes out in the air, you really better have something like this. Another navigational tool. Yeah, and when you get to the airport, this is a navigational guide. So it tells you all about the airport and what the frequency is and what the runways are, and usually how people land and all the good information that you need to know. And some of the other navigational tools other than charts that I used was a compass. Right? So even if you're going for a walk in the woods that you've never been before, you usually have a compass to know where you're going. It's wise. Although the best navigational tool in the world is what?
Sun.
The sun. That's a good one. Your brains, yeah, I like that one. No, the best navigational tool in the world is somebody who's been there before. It's a guide, right? So God has given us a guide. And now you all know me by now. I make these wonderful leaps of mental telepathy from now walk in the woods. Now we're going to our spiritual journey. So God has given us a guide in Jesus. He is the good shepherd that leads us. And that's a wonderful thing if you're going into uncharted territory to have a guide. Let me tell you, I was going on, a friend of mine from Lake Arrowhead is here, I won't embarrass her. But Monday we were going for a walk in the woods to look at the dogwoods, and they had me be their guide, and I'm like, I hope I remember where I'm going. So it's always comforting to have somebody who knows the way, who's flown that place before and knows, oh, you have enough fuel to get there, and this is where you can land, and this is what you can do. Or, yes, we're walking in the woods, and, there's a fork in the path, we go left. You don't have to sit there and think about it and try and get your GPS to work and all that kind of good stuff. So Jesus is our spiritual guide. But they've also given us other tools, other navigational tools. And one is the Bible. So this is pointing, from generations and eons of the fact that God is wonderful and powerful and how to live life. And then another one, as Episcopalians, what's another navigational guide?
Prayer book.
The prayer book, right. So morning prayer. This is actually a combination of them. And so as individuals, as you want to start your journey, or if you've already started it, found on page, it's a little dark in here, it looks like 137, is morning prayer. And they have morning prayer, noonday prayer, evening prayer, vespers. So this is also a wonderful navigation guide for us as Christians and for us as Episcopalians. And what of our compass? What's a good compass for us? Direction? Well, I like to call it an inner compass for our moral direction toward God. Spinning our heart, spinning our soul, spinning our conscience toward God. So God's given us all the tools for our spiritual journey. Even if we're already on it, even if we're just beginning it. He's given us all these little blue triangle markers along the trail. And I think that it's a wonderful relief to have Jesus as our guide. And here we have Jesus, the Lamb that was slain, and the shepherd that leads us beside still waters, walks with us. And he revives our souls and guides us along pathways for his name's sake. So let us walk with God in beauty, with Christ as our God, and be joyful. Amen.